The massive space station called Kepler Prime floated in the dark void between star systems. It was a huge metal structure with spinning rings and bright lights. Ships from different alien races were docked all around it like metal flowers on a giant stem. Today was an important day. The Galactic Council was meeting and tension filled the air like electricity before a storm. Ambassador Hyon walked through the long corridors of the station. His black hair was neat and his uniform was clean and pressed. He carried a small data pad with information about Earth and humanity. Other aliens passed by him in the hallway. Some looked like giant lizards walking on two legs. Others sparkled like living crystals. A few had tentacles instead of arms. They all looked at Jan with barely hidden contempt. The meeting room was enormous. A circular table sat in the center with 12 seats around it. Each seat was designed for a different alien race. Some were tall and thin. Others were wide and low. Hyun's seat was simple and small compared to the others. It was a clear message that humans were not considered important. Counselor Thextar was already in his seat when Hyon arrived. The Vorthak leader was 7 feet tall with dark green scales and yellow eyes that glowed like lamps. His claws tapped on the metal table as he spoke with other council members. The sound was like knives, scratching stone. The mining rights in the Andorra sector belong to the Vorthak Empire, Thextar said in a deep voice that rumbled like thunder. We have the strongest military force. We have the right to take what we need. Across from him sat Prime Resonance, Zilith. The Nixari Federation leader looked like a tall sculpture made of blue crystal. Light moved through her body like water through glass. When she spoke, her voice rang like musical notes. Strength is not the only measure of right, Xylith said. The Nixari have studied those asteroid fields for over 1,000 years. Our claim is older and more valid. Other council members watched the argument grow more heated. The Thurian delegate clicked his mandibles nervously. The Kalari representative's fur stood on end. Everyone could feel that war was coming. Jan cleared his throat. Perhaps we could find a way for both sides to benefit, he said in careful diplomatic language. The sector is large enough for shared mining operations. The room went quiet. Then Thextar threw back his head and laughed. It was a harsh sound like metal being torn apart. The little mammal thinks it can solve our problems, he said. Tell me, human, how many warships does your species have? Hyun's face stayed calm, but his hands tightened slightly. Earth prefers diplomatic solutions to military ones. That means you have no real ships, another alien said. This was Corvin from the Draxi Republic. He had 4 arms and skin like rough leather. Weak species always talk about diplomacy when they cannot fight. More laughter filled the room. Hyun sat quietly and took notes on his data pad. He had learned not to argue when the aliens mocked humanity. It only made things worse. The meeting continued for hours. Trade routes were discussed. Border disputes were argued over. Through it all, the tension between the Vorthak and Nixari grew stronger. Both sides made threats that were barely hidden as diplomatic language. During a break, Hyun stood by a large window that looked out into space. Stars shone like tiny diamonds against the black. He thought about Earth so far away. His home planet seemed small and unimportant compared to the vast alien empires around him. Worried about something, Ambassador? A voice said behind him. Hyun turned to see Xylith approaching. Her crystal body caught the starlight and threw rainbow patterns on the walls. I am concerned about the growing conflict, Hyun said honestly. War helps no one. Wise words, Xylith said. Her voice was softer now, almost gentle. But wisdom means little when faced with Vorthak aggression. They respect only strength. And what do you consider strength? Hyun asked. Xylith was quiet for a moment. Light pulsed slowly through her crystal form. The Nixari have existed for millions of years. We have seen many species rise and fall. Strength comes from knowledge, from understanding the universe. But sometimes, even knowledge must be backed by force. Hyun nodded. On Earth, we have a saying. The strongest trees bend in the wind instead of breaking. Interesting, Xylith said. But tell me, Ambassador, what happens when the wind becomes a hurricane? Before Hyun could answer, an alarm chimed through the station. All council members were called back to the meeting room. The second session was about to begin. As they returned to their seats, Thextar stood up. His yellow eyes swept around the room like searchlights. The Vorthak Empire has made a decision, he announced. We will take the Andoris sector by force, if necessary. And while we are at it, we will claim several other systems as well. He touched a control panel, and a star map appeared in the air above the table. Red dots marked Vorthak targets. Hyun's blood went cold when he saw them. 3 of the red dots were human colonies. You cannot be serious, the Thurian delegate said. His insect-like voice was high with shock. The Vorthak Empire needs room to expand, Thextar said calmly. These systems are weakly defended. The human colonies especially. They have no real military. Taking them will be easy. Jan stood up slowly. Those are peaceful settlements. Families live there. Children. Thextar looked at him with amusement. Then perhaps they should have chosen stronger protectors. The Galactic Council has rules about attacking member species, Jan said. His voice was steady, but inside he felt sick. Rules? Thextar laughed again. Rules are for those who can enforce them. What will you do, little human? Send us a strongly worded message? More laughter echoed around the room. Not all the aliens joined in, but none spoke up to defend humanity either. They saw humans as weak, a minor species that had been lucky to get a council seat at all. Jan sat down and activated his communicator. He sent a coded message to Earth. It was short and simple. Storm coming, prepare. The meeting dragged on, but nothing was really discussed anymore. The Vorthak had made their intentions clear. War was coming, and humanity was in the crosshairs. As the session ended, aliens began leaving in small groups. They talked quietly, among themselves about trade routes and defensive pacts. No one mentioned the human colonies. No one offered help. Hyun was gathering his papers when Xylith approached him again. I am sorry about your colonies, she said. The Nexari will remember humanity fondly. We are not dead yet, Hyun replied. Xylith's crystal form shimmered. Be realistic, Ambassador. The Vorthak have over 200 ships in their battle fleet. What does Earth have? Hyun looked at her for a long moment. We have something your people lost long ago. And what is that? The ability to surprise our enemies. With that, Hyun walked away, leaving Xylith puzzled by his words. In his quarters, that night Hyun received a reply to his message. It was from Admiral Daeho, the head of Earth's small space fleet. The message was even shorter than Hyun's had been. Help is coming. Hyun looked out his window at the stars again. Somewhere out there, Vorthak ships were moving toward human space. The aliens thought humanity was helpless. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Far from Kepler Prime, in the cold darkness between stars, something moved. It was sleek and dark, almost invisible against the black space around it. The ship's name was painted in small letters on its hull, Indomitable. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Captain Minho stood looking at a tactical display. His face was serious as he studied the information. Lieutenant Jisoo sat at a communication station nearby, monitoring alien transmissions. Captain, Jisoo said, we are receiving Ambassador Hyun's emergency signal from Kepler Prime. Minho nodded. Any word from the Vorthak fleet? Long-range sensors show them moving toward the Terran colonies, another officer reported. This was Lieutenant Soman from the engineering department. They will reach the outer settlements in 6 days. 6 days, Minho repeated quietly. He turned to his communications officer. Signal the Admiral. Tell him we are changing course for Kepler Prime. Sir? Jisoo looked confused. Shouldn't we move to defend the colonies? Minho smiled, but it was not a happy expression. Sometimes the best defense is to make your enemies think twice about attacking. The Indomitable turned in space, its engines glowing brighter. It began moving toward the neutral station where the Galactic Council was meeting. The ship moved, faster than any alien vessel could track. Back on Kepler Prime, Thextar was in his quarters planning the attack on human space. He had maps and tactical displays covering every surface. The conquest would be glorious. The Vorthak Empire would grow larger and stronger. A communication came in from his fleet commander. "All ships are in position, Counselor. We await your orders." "Begin the advance," Thextar ordered. "But move slowly. Let the humans see us coming. Fear will make them surrender faster." The Vorthak leader was very pleased with himself. In a few days, he would control 3 new star systems. The human colonies would become Vorthak outposts. Other alien races would see Vorthak's strength and think twice about opposing them. What Thextar did not know was that his easy targets had been preparing for this moment for 3 years. The human colonies looked defenseless, but that was intentional. Earth had learned long ago that appearing weak was sometimes the best strategy. As the Vorthak fleet moved through space toward human territory, they were being watched. Hidden sensors tracked there. The second day of the Galactic Council meeting began with terrible news. Thextar stood at the head of the council table with a satisfied expression on his scaled face. Behind him, a large display showed star maps and fleet positions. Red symbols marked Vorthak ships moving through space like drops of blood spreading through water. "Fellow council members," Thextar announced, "the Vorthak Empire has begun a necessary expansion. Our fleet is moving to claim territory that has been poorly managed by inferior species." Ambassador Hyan felt his stomach drop as he watched the display. The Vorthak battle fleet was massive. Over 200 ships of various sizes moved in perfect formation. Destroyers, cruisers, and massive dreadnoughts that looked like floating cities. At the center of the fleet was Thextar's flagship, a monster of metal and weapons that was larger than most space stations. "This is illegal under Galactic Council law," the Thurian delegate protested. His mandibles clicked rapidly with distress. "You cannot attack member species without provocation." Thextar's laugh was like grinding metal. "Provocation? The humans exist in our space, that is provocation enough." Prime resonance. Xylith's crystal body flashed with angry light. "The Andorra sector was promised to the Nexari Federation. You have no claim there." "I have the only claim that matters," Thextar replied, pointing at the fleet display. "Superior firepower." Ion stood up slowly. His hands were steady, but his mind was racing. "Counselor Thextar, the human colonies you are targeting are peaceful settlements. They pose no threat to anyone." "Exactly," Thextar said with a cruel smile. "They are soft targets that will fall quickly. Their capture will demonstrate Vorthak power to the galaxy." The room erupted in angry voices. Several alien species began arguing at once. The Kalari representative's fur stood straight up with fear. The Draxi delegate waved his 4 arms in agitation, but through all the noise, Hyan noticed something important. No one was offering to help humanity. "Order, order," called the council moderator, a thin gray alien called Nexus. "This session will maintain proper protocol." As the room quieted, Thextar activated another display. This one showed detailed information about the human colonies he planned to attack. Population numbers, defensive capabilities, and resource values scrolled across the screen. "As you can see," Thextar continued, "these human settlements have minimal defenses. A few patrol ships, some orbital platforms with light weapons. Nothing that can threaten a proper military force." Hyan studied the information on the screen. Most of it was accurate, which worried him. The Vorthak had been spying on human space for months, maybe years. They knew exactly what they were attacking. "The humans have been members of this council for 3 years, said Diplomat Kress from the Altarian Union. She was a tall, blue-skinned alien with large black eyes. Surely they deserve some consideration. Thextar turned his yellow gaze toward her. 3 years is nothing. A blink of an eye. They were given a council seat as a courtesy, not because they earned it. We earned our place, Jan said firmly. Earth has contributed to council discussions, and supported peaceful resolutions to conflicts. Peace, Thexatar spat. The word of the week. In the real galaxy, strength determines survival. Your species talks about peace because you have no choice. More murmurs went around the table. Jan could see in the aliens' faces that many agreed with Thextar. Humans were seen as a minor species that had gotten lucky. They had discovered faster-than-light travel only 50 years ago. Their technology was primitive compared to races that had traveled the stars for thousands of years. The Draxi delegate, Corvin, leaned forward on his forearms. Perhaps the humans could negotiate a surrender, save lives on both sides. No, Hyan said immediately. Humanity does not surrender our people to aggressors. Then you will watch them die, Thextar said coldly. My fleet will reach your outer colonies in 5 days. They can surrender then or be destroyed. The choice is theirs. Xylith's crystal, form pulsed with slow, thoughtful light. Counselor Thextar, this action will destabilize the entire region. Other species will see your aggression and feel threatened. Good, Thextar replied. Fear breeds respect. As the morning session continued, Jan sent several messages to Earth. He used coded language to avoid Vorthak interception, but the meaning was clear. The attack was coming, and humanity needed to prepare. During the lunch break, Jan found himself alone in the station's observation deck. The transparent walls showed the vast expanse of space around Kepler Prime. Ships from various alien races moved in and out of the docking bays like busy insects. You look troubled, Ambassador. Jan turned to see diplomat Kress approaching. The Altarian's large eyes seemed sympathetic. My people are about to be attacked, Jan said simply. Yes, I am troubled. Kress moved to stand beside him at the window. The Altarian Union wishes we could help, but we are too far away. Our ships could not reach human space in time. I understand, Jan replied. Every species must look after their own interest first. It is not just distance, Kress admitted. The Vorthak have made subtle threats about trade agreements. If we interfere with their expansion, they might target our merchant ships. Hyan nodded. It was the same story throughout the council. Everyone felt bad for humanity, but no one was willing to risk Vorthak anger to help them. Tell me honestly, Kress said quietly. What can your people really do against a fleet like that? Hyan was quiet for a long moment. We will do what humans have always done. We will survive. Back on Earth, Admiral Deho stood in the command center of Fleet Headquarters. The room was filled with officers working at computer stations. Large screens showed star maps, ship positions, and tactical information. The mood was tense but focused. Status report, Deho ordered. Lieutenant Commander Nari looked up from her station. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and quick fingers that danced over her controls. The Vorthak fleet is moving as predicted. They will reach Colony 7 in 4 days and 18 hours. Our preparations? All ships are in position, reported another officer. This was Commander Kuhn, a tall man with graying hair and steady hands. The colonists have been evacuated to underground shelters. Defense platforms are powered and ready. Deho studied the tactical display. The Vorthak fleet was spread out, in a loose formation, moving at steady speed toward human space. They were confident, perhaps overconfident. Any response from our diplomatic channels? Deho asked. Ambassador Hyan reports that the Galactic Council is unwilling to intervene, Nari said. We are on our own. As expected, Deho replied calmly. Have you received confirmation from Captain Minho? Yes, sir. The Indomitable is en route to Kepler Prime. Estimated arrival in 2 days. Deho smiled slightly. Good. Begin Phase 2. Across the command center, officers began implementing orders that had been planned for months. Secret messages went out to ships that officially did not exist. Hidden facilities powered up equipment that was supposed to be impossible. And in laboratories around Earth, scientists made final adjustments to technologies that would shock the galaxy. Back on Kepler Prime, the afternoon council session was even more heated than the morning. Thextar had received reports from his fleet commanders and was feeling very confident. The Vorthak advance continues smoothly, he announced. Human defenses in the outer systems are even weaker than we thought. This conquest will be completed, ahead of schedule. Several alien delegates looked uncomfortable, but none spoke up to challenge him. The Vorthak military was too powerful to oppose directly. Jan received a coded message on his personal communicator. He read it quickly, then deleted it. The message was short. Package delivery confirmed. Ambassador Hyan, Thextar said suddenly. Have you been in contact with your government? I have informed them of the situation, Hyan replied carefully. And what was their response? Jan looked directly into Thextar's yellow eyes. They thanked me for the information. This caused more laughter around the table. The idea that humans would simply thank someone for news of an invasion seemed absurd to the aliens. No panic? Asked Corvin, the Draxi delegate. No desperate pleas for help? Humans do not panic, Hyun said simply. Then they are fools, Thextar declared. My fleet could destroy every human world without breaking formation. Perhaps, Hyun said, but you have not done so yet. Something in Hyun's tone made several aliens look at him more carefully. There was no fear in his voice, no desperation. For a representative of a species about to be conquered, he seemed remarkably calm. Zelith's crystal form flashed with curiosity. You seem very confident for someone whose people face extinction. Not extinction, Hyan corrected. Education. Whose education? Xylith asked. Hyan smiled slightly. That remains to be seen. As the day's sessions ended, aliens began returning to their quarters or their ships. The Vorthak delegates were in high spirits, already planning victory celebrations. Other species were more subdued, uncomfortable with what they had witnessed but unwilling to act. In his quarters, Thextar reviewed tactical reports from his fleet. Everything was proceeding perfectly. The humans had not even attempted to call for help from other species. They seemed to be accepting their fate. Weak mammals, he muttered to himself. This will be easier than conquering a primitive world. But in the depths of space, something was moving. The third day of the Galactic Council meeting began with an emergency session. Thextar had called all delegates to the main chamber for what he called a final opportunity for peaceful resolution. Ambassador Hyan knew it was really a chance for the Vorthak leader to gloat about his approaching victory. The council chamber was packed with representatives from all 12 major alien species. Additional observers floated in the upper galleries, watching the proceedings with intense interest. Word had spread throughout the station that humanity was about to be taught a harsh lesson about galactic power. Thextar stood at the center of the chamber, his massive form casting long shadows under the bright lights. Behind him, holographics displays showed the current position of his battle fleet. The red dots representing Vorthak ships were now dangerously close to human space. Fellow council members, Thextar began, his voice echoing through the chamber. The Vorthak fleet has reached the edge of human territory. In less than 24 hours, we will begin our liberation of these poorly defended systems. Several aliens shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The word liberation fooled no one. This was conquest, pure and simple. I am offering the humans one final chance to surrender, Thextar continued. If they agree to Vorthak rule, their people will be spared unnecessary suffering. Hyan stood up slowly. His uniform was neat and his expression was calm, but inside he felt the weight of his entire species' future on his shoulders. The colonies will not surrender, he said clearly, and neither will Earth. Thextar's laugh rumbled through the chamber like distant thunder. Earth? Your pathetic homeworld is nowhere near this conflict. What can they do to help you? More than you might think, Hyan replied. Really? Thextar activated another display. Our intelligence shows that Earth has exactly 37 military vessels. Most are patrol ships or cargo transports with light weapons. Against my fleet of 200 warships, they are meaningless. Murmurs went around the chamber. The aliens had all seen similar intelligence reports. Earth's military was tiny compared to the major galactic powers. Even small species like the Kalari had larger fleets. Prime Resonance Xylith spoke up from her crystal throne. Ambassador Heon, your courage is admirable, but surely you must see the reality of the situation. The Vorthak fleet outguns your entire navy by a factor of 20 to 1. Numbers are not everything, Heon said. When the numbers are this overwhelming, they are, Corvin, the Draxi delegate, said sadly. Perhaps your people should consider evacuation instead of resistance. We do not abandon our homes, Heon stated firmly. Thextar's eyes glowed brighter with amusement. Then you will die in them. My fleet commanders report that your outer defense platforms are already powering down. Your colonists are fleeing, like scared animals. This was partially true. The evacuation of civilians had been planned months ago. But the defense platforms were not shutting down. They were simply running silent to avoid detection. Suddenly, a communication officer burst into the chamber. It was a young Vorthak with bright green scales and nervous movements. Counselor Thextar, the officer said, bowing low. Urgent message. From Fleet Command. Thextar's expression darkened. This better be important. You have interrupted a council session. The officer whispered something in Thextar's ear. The big alien's face went through several expressions. Confusion, disbelief, and then anger. What do you mean, unknown contact? Thextar growled. Sir, our sensors have detected a single ship approaching the station. It appears to be of human design, but the energy signatures are unusual. Every alien in the chamber turned to look at Hyon. He kept his expression neutral, but inside he felt a surge of hope. One ship? Thextar laughed again, but it sounded forced now. The humans have sent one ship to threaten my entire fleet? Perhaps it carries a diplomatic message, suggested Diplomat Cress from the Altarian Union. Thextar waved a clawed hand dismissively. Whatever it carries, it changes nothing. One human ship against 200 Vorthak vessels. This is comedy, not warfare. But as the minutes passed, more reports came in. The approaching ship was moving faster than any human vessel on record. Its energy readings were unlike anything in the alien databases. Most disturbing of all, it seemed to be ignoring all standard identification protocols. Sir, another Vorthak officer reported, the ship is requesting immediate docking clearance. They say they have urgent business with the Council. Deny them, Thextar ordered. I will not have this session interrupted by desperate human begging. Before anyone could respond, every communication system in the chamber activated at once. A clear, calm voice filled the room with perfect audio quality. Kepler Prime Control, this is the Terran Navy vessel Indomitable requesting immediate docking clearance. We have urgent business with the Galactic Council. The voice belonged to Lieutenant Jisoo, though the aliens did not know that yet. Her tone was professional and polite, but there was an undertone of absolute confidence that made several delegates sit up straighter. Thextar stormed over to the communication panel. This is Counselor Thextar of the Vorthak Empire. You will identify yourself and state your business or be destroyed. There was a brief pause. Then a different voice responded. This one was deeper, belonging to Captain Minho. Counselor Thextar, this is Captain Minho of the Terran vessel Indomitable. We are here to discuss the immediate withdrawal of your fleet from human space. This is your only warning. The chamber erupted in shocked voices. Several aliens began talking at once. The idea that a single human ship would dare threaten the mighty Vorthak fleet seemed insane. Thextar's face flushed dark green with rage. You dare threaten me? I could destroy your pathetic ship with a single command to my fleet! You could try, Captain Minho's voice replied calmly, but I would not recommend it. Xylith's crystal form was pulsing rapidly, with what looked like excitement. Captain, surely you realize that your ship is vastly outnumbered. What possible threat could you pose? Prime Resonance Xylith, Captain Minho replied, apparently recognizing her voice. The Nexari are known for their wisdom. I suggest you use that wisdom to convince your colleagues to hear what we have to say. Now every alien in the chamber was staring at their communication systems. How did a human captain know the personal voice patterns of individual council members? That information was supposed to be classified. Station Control finally managed to break into the conversation. Unknown vessel, you are in violation of council security protocols. You must submit to inspection before being granted docking clearance. Negative, Captain Minho replied. We will dock at Bay 12 in exactly 10 minutes. I suggest you clear the area. That bay is restricted to council members only, the controller protested. We are aware of that, Lieutenant Jisu's voice added. Thank you for the information. The communication ended, leaving the chamber in stunned silence. Thextar was shaking with rage. This is intolerable. I will not be threatened by a single human ship. He activated his personal communicator and began barking orders to his fleet. All ships target the human vessel approaching the station. Prepare to fire on my command. Counselor, the station commander interrupted, we cannot allow weapons fire near Kepler Prime. This is neutral territory. Then the humans should not have brought threats here, Thextar snarled. Hyun finally spoke up. Perhaps we should see what they have to say before making any hasty decisions. Hasty? Thextar whirled on him. Your people are about to be conquered and you want to talk about hasty decisions? Through the chamber's viewing ports, aliens could now see a distant speck of light approaching the station. The human ship was still too far away to make out details, but its engine signature was visible as a bright blue glow. Sensors report the vessel is approximately cruiser class, a station technician announced. Length about 600 meters, standard human configuration. Corvin clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. A cruiser against a battle fleet. The humans must be desperate indeed. But Xylith was studying her personal scanner with growing confusion. The energy readings from that ship, they do not match any known human technology. What do you mean? Asked Diplomat Kress. The power output is far higher than it should be for a ship that size. And the hull configuration, there are elements I do not recognize. Thextar dismissed this with a wave. Human desperation leads to human lies. They are probably broadcasting false sensor readings to seem more threatening. As the Indomitable approached docking bay 12, more strange readings appeared on alien sensors. The ship's approach vector was perfect, its speed precisely controlled. It moved with a grace that seemed impossible for human engineering. How are they doing that? Whispered a Thurian observer. Our ships need thruster corrections every few seconds for that kind of precision. The Indomitable slid into the docking bay like a knife sliding into a sheath. Perfect alignment, perfect speed, perfect timing. The docking clamps engaged with mechanical precision that impressed even the technology-obsessed Nexari. Docking complete, Station Control announced. The human vessel has requested immediate transport to the council chamber. Thextar was pacing back and forth like a caged predator. Let them come. I want to see the faces of these fools before I order their destruction. But other aliens were beginning to feel uncertain. The silence in the chamber was complete, except for the soft humming of disabled weapon systems. Every alien stared at the 6 humans who had appeared from nowhere and somehow neutralized every security device in the room. Captain Minho stood at the center of his small group, looking as relaxed as if he were attending a dinner party. Thextar was the first to recover from his shock. The massive Vorthak leader's yellow eyes blazed with fury and disbelief. What have you done to our weapons? He demanded. Lieutenant Somin, the engineering officer, spoke up with a friendly smile. We have temporarily disrupted their power systems. Do not worry. No permanent damage has been done. Temporarily disrupted? Prime resonance. Xylith's crystal form pulsed with rapid light patterns. The energy fields required for such wide area, technological interference should be impossible to generate. Many things are impossible until someone does them, Captain Minho replied calmly. Dr. Nari, would you explain to our hosts what we have accomplished? A woman with sharp eyes and quick movements stepped forward. She carried a small device that projected holographic displays into the air above the chamber. Honored council members, Dr. Nari began. For the past 3 years, humanity has been studying every piece of alien technology we could obtain. Trade samples, salvage from accidents, Gifts from diplomatic exchanges, we examined everything. The holographic display showed a rotating image of various alien devices. Forthak weapons, Nexari crystal matrices, Thurian communication arrays, and dozens of other technologies from across the galaxy. We discovered something interesting, Dr. Nari continued. Every alien race tends to develop technology in isolation. You create devices that work well for your specific needs, but you rarely combine concepts from other species. Corvin, the four-armed Draxi delegate, leaned forward with interest. And humans do things differently? Humans are integrators, Dr. Nari replied. We take ideas from multiple sources and combine them into something new, something better. She gestured, and the holographic display changed to show human devices. But these were unlike anything the aliens had seen before. The designs mixed elements from multiple alien technologies, creating hybrids that should not have been possible. For example, Dr. Nari said, pointing to one device, this power cell combines Vorthak plasma containment with Nexari crystal focusing and Altarian efficiency modifications. The result is 3 times more powerful than any of the original technologies alone. Xylith's crystal form flashed brighter. That combination should create unstable resonance patterns. The technologies are incompatible. They were incompatible, Dr. Nari agreed, until we found ways to make them work together. Security Chief Wubin, a stocky man with watchful eyes, added, every weapon system in this chamber uses standard galactic protocols. We simply broadcast interference patterns that target those specific frequencies. Impossible, Thextar growled. No single device could affect so many different technologies at once. Wubin held up a small metallic cylinder no bigger than his thumb. This device contains adaptation matrices based on technologies from 8 different species. It can analyze and counter most known weapon systems in real time. The aliens stared at the tiny device in disbelief. The idea that something so small could neutralize their weapons seemed absurd. You are lying, Thextar accused. Human technology is primitive. We have seen your ships, your weapons. They are decades behind galactic standards. Captain Minho smiled slightly. You have seen what we wanted you to see, Counselor. Sometimes it is useful to be underestimated. Lieutenant Jisoo stepped forward and activated her own holographic projector. The display showed star charts of human space, but the images were not what the aliens expected. Our intelligence reports show minimal human defenses, Diplomat Kress said, studying the displays with confusion. Your intelligence reports are accurate, Jisoo confirmed. For the technologies you know how to detect. The star chart changed, revealing hidden installations throughout human space. Weapon platforms, sensor arrays, and defensive structures that had been completely invisible to alien surveillance. Stealth technology, Jisoo explained. We combined Thurian holographic camouflage with Kalari energy dampening and our own innovations in materials science. The result is effective invisibility to all known detection methods. A new voice spoke from the chamber entrance. Except for human detection methods. Everyone turned to see Admiral Deho walking into the chamber. The tall, gray-haired man moved with quiet authority. Behind him came a small group of human officers. Admiral, Captain Minho said with a respectful nod. You made excellent time. I was in the neighborhood, Admiral Deho replied with a slight smile. Besides, I wanted to see the aliens' faces when they learned the truth. Thextar's rage was building to dangerous levels. What truth? That humans are liars and spies? Admiral Deho walked to the center of the chamber and looked around at the assembled aliens. The truth is that humanity has been preparing for this day since we first joined the Galactic Council. He gestured and the holographic displays changed again. Now they showed detailed schematics of human ships, but not the primitive vessels the aliens thought they knew. The Indomitable, Admiral Deho announced, is the first of Earth's new generation of warships. It incorporates technological advances from every species in this chamber. The schematic rotated slowly, revealing systems that made several aliens gasp with shock. Weapon arrays that combined multiple alien technologies, shields that used principles from 4 different species, and engines that somehow achieved impossible efficiency, This is not possible, Xylith insisted. The power requirements alone would exceed any known reactor design. Dr. Nari smiled. That would be true if we were using known reactor designs. She activated another display showing the Indomitable's power core. It was a complex hybrid system that combined Vorthak plasma generation, Nexari crystal amplification, and human innovations in matter-energy conversion. The result, Dr. Nari said proudly, is a power output nearly 10 times greater than any ship of comparable size. Commander Kuhn, the tactical officer who had arrived with Admiral Deho, stepped forward. Perhaps a demonstration would be more convincing than technical specifications. Captain Minho nodded. An excellent idea. Dr. Nari, would you prepare a scanning target? Of course, Captain. Through the chamber's viewing ports, the aliens could see space around Kepler Prime. Dr. Nari's device projected targeting information onto the transparent walls, highlighting a large asteroid drifting several thousand kilometers from the station. The target asteroid, Dr. Nari announced, has a mass of approximately 50 million tons. It is composed primarily of iron and nickel, with trace elements of other heavy metals. Captain Minho touched his communicator. Indomitable. This is the captain. Prepare a Level 3 demonstration on the designated target. Level 3, sir? Came the reply from the ship. Are you certain? Confirmed. Level 3 only. We want to make a point, not destroy the solar system. Several aliens exchanged nervous glances. What exactly was a Level 3 demonstration? And what would higher levels do? Firing solution locked, the Indomitable reported. All clear for demonstration. Fire, Captain Minho ordered simply. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then a beam of brilliant blue-white light lanced out from the human ship. It was thin, almost invisible except for its incredible brightness. The beam crossed the distance to the asteroid in less than a second. The result was spectacular and terrifying. The 50-million-ton asteroid simply vanished. One moment it was there, solid and permanent. The next moment it was an expanding cloud of glowing particles that dispersed into space like cosmic dust. The chamber was absolutely silent. Level 3, Captain Minho said conversationally, uses approximately 5% of the Indomitable's maximum weapon output. Dexitar's face had gone pale green. 5%? The asteroid was completely vaporized, Xylith whispered. Her crystal form was pulsing with what looked like fear. Not destroyed, vaporized, converted directly to energy. Admiral Deho nodded. Human weapons technology has advanced considerably in the past 3 years. But how? Corvin asked, his forearms trembling. Even with combined technologies, such power should not be achievable. Dr. Nari looked pleased with the question. The key breakthrough was understanding that most alien species think too small. You design weapons to destroy ships or cities. Humans think bigger. How much bigger? Diplomat Kress asked in a very small voice. Level 10, Captain Minho said casually. Could crack a moon. The silence stretched on for nearly a minute. Finally, Thextar found his voice. You are bluffing. One ship cannot threaten my entire fleet. Lieutenant Jisoo checked her communicator. Captain, long-range sensors are detecting the Vorthak battle fleet. They appear to be maintaining their course toward human space. Thank you, Lieutenant. Captain Minho looked directly at Thextar. Counselor, I strongly suggest you order your fleet to withdraw immediately. Never, Thextar roared. 200 ships will not be stopped by one human vessel, no matter how advanced. Security Chief Wubin spoke up quietly. Captain, should I signal the fleet? What fleet? Thextar demanded. Captain Minho smiled. Commander Wubin, please illuminate our escort. Wubin touched a control on his belt. Suddenly, space around Kepler Prime was filled with... The Galactic Council chamber had never been so quiet. Every alien representative stared at the displays showing human ships surrounding Kepler Prime. The vessels that had appeared from nowhere represented a complete revolution in their understanding of human capabilities. Thextar stood frozen in the center of the chamber, his yellow eyes fixed on the tactical readouts. The mathematics were simple and brutal. His 200 ships against 47 human vessels should have been an easy victory. Instead, the analysis showed complete Vorthak annihilation in 12 minutes. "This cannot be accurate," he said finally, his voice much quieter than before. "Commander." Kuhn consulted his portable display again. "Our tactical computers have analyzed Vorthak ship designs, weapon capabilities, shield strengths, and tactical doctrines. The calculation includes factors for superior Vorthak numbers and defensive formations. The result remains the same. Prime resonance. Xylith's crystal form pulsed with slow, thoughtful light. Commander, your analysis assumes that human technology provides overwhelming advantages. How can you be so certain?" Dr. Nari stepped forward with another holographic display. "Because we have been testing our systems against simulated alien technologies for months. Every weapon type, every shield, configuration, every tactical approach used by Council species." The display showed detailed combat simulations. Human ships engaged virtual fleets from every major alien race. In scenario after scenario, the human vessels achieved decisive victories with minimal losses. "But these are just simulations," protested Diplomat Kress from the Altarian Union. "Theoretical battles prove nothing." Admiral Deho smiled slightly. "You are correct, of course. Computer models can be flawed. That is why we conducted field tests." "Field tests?" Several aliens asked at once. Lieutenant Jisoo activated her communicator. "Captain, permission to show them the Sigma-7 incident?" Captain Minho nodded. "Granted." The holographic display changed to show sensor recordings from deep space. A single human ship faced 3 automated weapon platforms left over from an ancient war. The platforms were massive, bristling with weapons that could destroy cruisers with single shots. "These platforms were discovered in the neutral zone 6 months ago," Jisoo explained. 3 different Council species had attempted to disable them and failed. The platforms destroyed 2 Vorthak ships and 1 Nexari research vessel. The recording showed the human ship approaching the platforms. Energy beams lanced out from the ancient weapons, but they passed harmlessly through the human vessel's shields. Return fire from the human ship struck all 3 platforms simultaneously. They exploded in brilliant flashes of light. Total engagement time, Jisoo reported, was 14 seconds. Corvin, the Draxi delegate, clicked his mandibles nervously. "Those platforms destroyed some of our best ships. How did you overcome them so easily?" Security Chief Wubin answered. "The platforms used standard energy frequencies and targeting systems. Our adaptive shields and electronic countermeasures made their weapons ineffective." "Adaptive shields?" Xylith asked. Dr. Nari nodded enthusiastically. "Another hybrid technology. We combined Nexari crystal matrices with Vorthak plasma containment and Kalari energy absorption principles. The result is a shield system that automatically adapts to incoming weapon types." She gestured, and the display showed technical schematics of the shield technology. The design was incredibly complex, incorporating elements from 6 different alien technologies. "The first shot from an enemy weapon teaches our shields how to defend against that type of attack," Dr. Nari explained. "By the second shot, we are nearly immune. By the third shot, we can reflect the energy back at the attacker." Thextar's face had turned an unhealthy shade of pale green. "You mean your ships become stronger when attacked?" "Exactly, Captain Hai," Minho confirmed. "Human military doctrine is based on adaptation and improvement under pressure." Ambassador Hyon, who had been quietly observing from his seat, finally spoke up. "Counselor Thextar, I believe it is time to discuss the withdrawal of your fleet." Thextar whirled on him, desperation making his voice harsh. "You think this changes anything? Even if your ships could defeat mine, you are still just one miner. Species among dozens. The galaxy is vast. Other races could unite against you." Admiral Deho looked around the chamber at the assembled aliens. "Could they? Let me ask the Council a question. How many of you would be willing to attack a species that could destroy your entire military in minutes?" Silence greeted his question. "More importantly," Admiral Deho continued, How many of you would prefer to be our allies instead of our enemies? Diplomat Kress was the first to speak. The Altarian Union has always valued peaceful cooperation, as have the Kalari, added their representative, his fur finally settling down from its agitated state. One by one, other aliens began expressing interest in improved relations with humanity. The demonstration of human military power had changed the entire political landscape of the galaxy. Xylith's crystal form flashed with what looked like approval. The Nexari Federation would be honored to share knowledge with a species that has achieved such remarkable technological integration. Thextar looked around the chamber with growing desperation. You are all fools. They are just one species. Their numbers are small. Numbers are not everything, Captain Minho said, repeating Ambassador Hyun's earlier words. Besides, who said our numbers were small? Lieutenant Jisoo checked her communicator. Captain Admiral Park reports that the Second Fleet has arrived at the edge of the system. Admiral Kim confirms that the Third Fleet is in position near the Forthak homeworlds. Thextar's eyes went wide with shock. More fleets? How many ships do you have? Enough, Admiral Deho replied simply. Commander Kuhn provided more specific information. Currently, the Terran Navy operates 123 frontline warships. An additional 40 vessels serve in support roles. The number sent shockwaves through the chamber. The aliens had believed humanity possessed fewer than 40 military ships total. The reality was that Earth had secretly built a fleet larger than most galactic powers. 123 ships, Thextar whispered. All with these advanced technologies? All with technology superior to anything in this chamber, Dr. Nari confirmed proudly. Xylith's crystal form was pulsing rapidly with excitement. The industrial capacity required to build such a fleet in secret. It implies a level of organization and planning that we completely underestimated. Humans are good at long-term planning, Admiral Deho said. We began preparing for this moment the day we joined the Galactic Council. Diplomat Kress leaned forward with curiosity. You planned for war from the beginning? We planned for survival, Captain Minho corrected. We studied galactic history and learned that new species often face challenges from established powers. We decided to be ready. Ambassador Hyun stood up from his seat. The question now is what happens next. Counselor Thextar, will you order your fleet to withdraw from human space? Thextar looked around the chamber one more time. Every alien face showed the same message. He was alone. His allies had abandoned him, and his enemies had multiplied. If I order withdrawal, he said slowly, what guarantee do I have that you will not pursue my ships? You have the word of the Terran Navy, Captain Minho replied formally. Withdraw your fleet immediately, and no Vorthak vessel will be harmed. And if I refuse? Security Chief Wubin answered quietly. Then we will remove your fleet from human space ourselves, permanently. The threat was delivered without emotion, which somehow made it more terrifying than any angry declaration would have been. Thextar activated his personal communicator with shaking claws. Fleet Command, this is Counselor Thextar. All ships are to reverse course immediately. Return to Vorthak space at maximum speed. Sir, came the confused reply. We are almost in position to begin the attack. New orders, Thextar growled. Full retreat. Do not engage human forces under any circumstances. Acknowledged, sir. Fleet is changing course. The communication ended, leaving Thextar looking defeated and humiliated. Admiral Deho nodded with satisfaction. Thank you, Counselor, you have made a wise decision. What happens now? Xylith asked. This demonstration has changed the balance of power in the galaxy. What are human intentions regarding the other council species? Captain Minho looked around the chamber. Humanity seeks the same thing we have always sought. Peaceful cooperation, mutual benefit, and shared growth. But now you have the strength to enforce your desires, Corvin observed. Strength should be used to protect, not to threaten, Ambassador Hyun said. Earth has no desire to conquer other species. Dr. Nari activated a new display showing various technological designs. What we want is partnership, human integration, Techniques could benefit every species in this chamber. Imagine what we could accomplish working together. The display showed theoretical technologies that combined elements from all 12 council species: weapons, shields, engines, and scientific instruments that surpassed anything any individual race had achieved. A true galactic alliance, Xylith mused. Not based on fear or domination, but on mutual advancement. Exactly, Admiral Deho said. Humanity offers our integration technologies in exchange for access to each species' unique capabilities. Diplomat. Cress looked intrigued. What would such an alliance look like in